not others. Today, I want you to shift your focus. Stop worrying about what others are doing. Stop comparing yourself to their success, their progress, their journey. The only person you need to compete with is the person you were yesterday. Every second you spend watching someone else is a second you're not working on yourself. Every moment you waste thinking about their path is a moment you could be investing in your own. Success isn't about who gets there first. It's about who refuses to quit. If you stop after a few failures, then you never truly wanted it. Winners don't stop when they hit a wall. They find a way through it, over it, or around it. There will be moments when you doubt yourself. Moments when the world tells you no, but that's when you push harder. Success belongs to those who refuse to settle, those who stay hungry, those who see obstacles not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? Be honest. Write it down. See it clearly. Because the moment you start believing in your vision, your mind starts working for you, shaping your future, guiding your steps. Your thoughts are powerful. What you focus on, you attract. If you focus on excuses, you'll find them everywhere. But if you focus on opportunities, they will appear even in the darkest moments. Your mind is your greatest weapon. Your body has limits, but your mind doesn't. Train it. Strengthen it. Every great achievement starts with a thought, a decision, a commitment to never give up. If you're not mentally prepared, you're never truly ready. The strongest people aren't those who have it easy. They're the ones who push through the hardest times and come out even stronger. Fear will try to stop you. Doubt will creep in. People will tell you it's impossible. But if you let fear control you, you will never reach your full potential. Do whatever it takes to move forward. Take the risk. Make the jump. Push yourself past your comfort zone, because if you don't, life will keep knocking you down until you decide to fight back. The only way to grow is to challenge yourself. Failure is not the end. It's a lesson. You have to fail to learn, to grow, to succeed. The greatest champions have missed more shots than they've made, but they kept shooting. Every mistake is a stepping stone to greatness. The road to success is never easy. It's full of obstacles, detours, and setbacks. But the people who make it are the ones who refuse to quit. Just when you're about to give up, that's when your breakthrough is the closest. No matter how many times you fall, get back up. No matter how many times you fail, try again. The only way to lose is to quit. So focus on yourself, your goals, your journey. Because at the end of the day, you are the only person responsible for your success. Stay relentless, stay hungry, and never, ever stop believing in yourself. Focus on yourself, not others. Today, I want you to shift your focus. Stop worrying about what others are doing. Stop comparing yourself to their success, their progress, their journey. The only person you need to compete with is the person you were yesterday. Every second you spend watching someone else is a second you're not working on yourself. Every moment you waste thinking about their path is a moment you could be investing in your own. Success isn't about who gets there first. It's about who refuses to quit. If you stop after a few failures, then you never truly wanted it. Winners don't stop when they hit a wall. They find a way through it, over it, or around it. There will be moments when you doubt yourself. Moments when the world tells you no. But that's when you push harder. Success belongs to those who refuse to settle. Those who stay hungry. Those who see obstacles not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? Be honest. Write it down. See it clearly. Because the moment you start believing in your vision, your mind starts working for you, shaping your future, guiding your steps. Your thoughts are powerful. What you focus on, you attract. If you focus on excuses, you'll find them everywhere. But if you focus on opportunities, they will appear even in the darkest moments. Your mind is your greatest weapon. Your body has limits, but your mind doesn't. Train it. Strengthen it. Every great achievement starts with a thought, a decision, a commitment to never give up. If you're not mentally prepared, you're never truly ready. The strongest people aren't those who have it easy. They're the ones who push through the hardest times and come out even stronger. Fear will try to stop you. Doubt will creep in. People will tell you it's impossible. But if you let fear control you, you will never reach your full potential. Do whatever it takes to move forward. Take the risk. Make the jump. Push yourself past your comfort zone. Because if you don't, life will keep knocking you down until you decide to fight back. The only way to grow is to challenge yourself. Failure is not the end. It's a lesson. You have to fail to learn, to grow, to succeed. The greatest champions have missed more shots than they've made, but they kept shooting. Every mistake is a stepping stone to greatness. The road to success is never easy. It's full of obstacles, detours, and setbacks. But the people who make it are the ones who refuse to quit. Just when you're about to give up, that's when your breakthrough is the closest. No matter how many times you fall, get back up. No matter how many times you fail, try again. The only way to lose is to quit. So focus on yourself, your goals, your journey. Because at the end of the day, you are the only person responsible for your success. Stay relentless, stay hungry, and never, ever stop believing in yourself.